where we talk about the real stuff of raising kids. I'm your host, Curtis, and joining me today is my co host, RJ, who's navigating the whole first job thing with two kids who are now adults.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Curtis. Yeah, my son Josh and my daughter Amanda, they're all grown up now, but those teenage years, they still feel like yesterday.
Well, before we dive in, I've got to ask, do you know why I told my teenager to bring a ladder to their first job interview?
Here we go. What's up? Why is that, Curtis?
Because I wanted them to reach new heights in their career.
Yep, and we're off to a good start there, folks.
That's right. So let's lighten the mood around here. But seriously, today we're tackling a question that comes up in our parenting community all the time. What are safe, appropriate ways for kids age 11 to 17 to earn money? And RJ, you got some real world experience here.
Let me tell you, it's one of the parenting journeys when you're constantly battling independence with safety, right? You want to let
Yep,
go of them, but you still want to make sure they're safe and keep them protected.
that's exactly it. The first work experience aren't just about the money, they're about building character, responsibility, and confidence. So let's walk through this together and hopefully give some practical guidance to parents who are listening today. So the first age group we're going to talk about from 11 to 13. All right, RJ, let's start with the younger crowd. We're not talking about traditional employment here, right?
The 11 to 13-year olds, right? At this age, it's all about neighborhood gigs or even entrepreneurial opportunities, right? Amanda started pet sitting when she was about 12. But here's the key: we started with neighbors, people we already knew really well.
Yeah, trust is a huge factor here, right?
Absolutely. The next door neighbors just needed someone to um, walk their golden retriever, right? Max after school. We knew them. We knew their dog. Armand had been around Max since she was little. She'd go over there, text me when she arrived, text me when she left. Simple system that gave her independence, but gave us peace of mind.
That's fantastic. What was she making there, RJ?
It was only about $10 a visit, right? Which to a 12-year-old felt like a fortune, right? So she was, quite proud of herself.
That's awesome. What about your son?
Oh, so Josh, when he was 12, he came to me with a full business plan for a lawn mowing service, right?
Hmm.
I'm talking, getting out the spreadsheet, projected earnings, equipment costs, the whole pitch.
Wow, spreadsheet age 12. Wow, you taught him well, huh?
Yeah, kid taught excellent or taught himself Excel just to convince me to buy a better lawnmower, right? But we started him on our own lawn first. He practiced on our yard, making mistakes on our grass, learned the equipment safety all at home, right? Before we started moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is very important using mechanical equipment, right? That's a good move for on you guys'
Yeah.
part. So he got some training wheels at home, right?
Right. Then once he had that done, we went through the neighborhood together, right? And I mean together. I was right there. And he asked neighbors if they needed help. By the end of the summer, he had 5 regular clients making $15 to $20 per.
That's pretty good. It's cheap for the people who are getting it, that's for sure. And that's, you know what, that's real money and a
Hmm.
responsibility for him as well. And those neighbors will probably love having a reliable kid in the neighborhood do their lawn, for sure.
Right. They did. Absolutely. He learned about doing quality work. What happens when you forget to check bank? um, but better to learn
Yeah.
that at 12 than 22, right?
Yeah, for sure. What about babysitting? That's a classic for this age group as well, isn't it?
Yep. Our daughter got into that at age 13 about that. And this one is important, right? She got certified first.
Oh,
There's
good. Yep.
that babysitting course that people have to take. It costs around $50 or so, or at least at the time.
Yep.
Learn things like CPR, first aid, emergency procedures. So and that's great because they get qualified for things like that at an early age.
That's
You
good.
just
And
had
also
first aid
helps them
recently,
learn.
right? So
Yeah, I did that yesterday. It was good. I did the CPR training and that for work. But the babysitting course is
and I
good
believe
for
everybody
kids at
should
that
have it.
age. Yep, for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's build up gradually, not throwing her into the deep end is very key, right? So you helped her guide her in the right direction.
Hmm.
And I find that certifications give the kids confidence and you confidence knowing that they can actually get the job done and not to worry, right?
100%, right? And then so working up, like you said, really building up, she worked up to working full evenings, right? Sometimes
Hmm.
even overnight sitting, but it wasn't just immediate. It was a progression where she built the trust with the clients and then also learning, we had to be sure she and confident she could do that while staying overnight, right?
Oh, that's awesome. That's big responsibility there for sure. So let's move
Yeah,
forward here.
and
What
and it
about
was
kids
hold
who?
on, hold on, and
Yeah.
and you know what? That was a natural progression for her because now she became a social worker. You know what I mean, caring for
Oh wow.
people, taking care of them. So that was a natural
Yep.
progression, right? So
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty good actually. But you never know where kids are gonna their first job and where their future will take them. Absolutely.
right, yeah, it
So
really the first job is about taking care of getting the skills right, showing up
yep,
on time, responsibility, those kind of key aspects there.
perfect. Yeah, right. So some kids are not into yard work or childcare. They are more academic or creative types.
Hmm. And then tutoring is also a perfect option, right? My, one of my kids did that too. They were strong in math, so they helped our neighborhood third grader in multiplication tables, right? Made $10 an
Oh
hour,
wow.
and it reinforced her own knowledge at the same time. I think it's Bob Proctor says you don't know something well enough until you can teach it, right? So
That's right.
it helps you learn more as you teach this stuff to others. So great opportunity
Yep.
there.
It's like two birds, one stone. Love it.
Hmm. And then other options for the creatives are selling crafts at school fairs or local
Yep.
markets, right? I knew kids who grew up and made jewelry or baked cookies, right? Um, Seasonal decorations. These are creative, entrepreneurial, and when supervised properly, opportunities.
Awesome. Yeah, my kid is pretty creative these days. Probably should get her to start selling some stuff maybe. But
Hmm.
these are all great because parents can involve them without hovering, right? They give the kids their own time, give them the supplies, let them be creative, right?
Hmm. Right? That's the sweet spot, right? You're aware, you're checking in, but they're doing the actual work themselves.
Yep. So let's move on to ages 14 to 15, where well sometimes 14 things start opening up, right? Real employment is possible, like you work at McDonald's or something like that, or some other fast food or restaurants. How did that shift things for your family when your kids became a working
Hmm.
age?
Yeah, big shift. Josh got his first official job at a local grocery store right when he turned 14.
Nice.
Started as a courtesy clerk, bagging groceries, helping people get to their cars, gathering carts, that sort of thing. So,
Wow, that's awesome. How was that transformation from being his own boss to working for someone else?
it was an adjustment, right? Sometimes, suddenly he had his own, or he had a boss, right? A schedule,
Yep.
coworkers, a uniform. He didn't decide to sleep in it if it was um, raining, right? But honestly,
Yep.
it was the best thing for him.
Nice. That's good. So structure has a value and can be valuable, right?
Oh, so yeah. He learned punctuality, following instructions, right? Which is a big one. Teamwork,
Yep.
working with others. And then that first paycheck, right? He was so excited until he saw the deductions.
Yep.
Came to me like, um, who is this? Is this all these amounts coming off the check? And why do they keep stealing my money? Right. So we had to explain that one to him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Typical Canadian, right? You get your first paycheck. You think you make this big amount, it's only this little, and half of it goes to the
Yeah.
government, right? These days.
Tax man has to get theirs.
Yeah, the government too. Never forget about that.
Yeah.
So, what about your daughter? What was she doing at that age?
Armando went to food service route at 15, right? Getting a
Right
job
on.
at the local coffee shop, right? So, learning people to deliver people's coffees, serving customers, running the register.
Mhm.
She loved it
Yep.
because she's social, right? She loves people, plus all the free coffee you can drink, and these
I
days with
don't
their mocha lattes and all that stuff, right?
know, fancy drinks. Yeah. Yeah, something
Yeah,
pretty fancy, pretty complicated. So you gotta learn her instructions, right? And if she's a
yeah.
social person, that's a great job to have in the coffee shop, right? And you
It
can't beat
helps
the perk
people
of having
become
coffee. Yeah.
social.
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. Even if
And
you're a
then
little
after
shy,
two
will
weeks,
push
she
you.
told me, And then after 2 weeks, she started telling me, "Oh, I never want to see another coffee again." Right? But she stuck with it for almost 2 years, became a shift supervisor, put leadership experience right on her college application.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, that's what I want parents to understand. These aren't just throwaway jobs, they're resume builders, character builders as well.
Exactly, right? Kids learn all of those skills about working together, what it takes to have a job, all the responsibilities involved. And that's what we need to be teaching them in their teenage years, right? So,
Hmm.
other good options at this age for people are, working at the movie theater, fast food. I got my first job when I was 13 working at the exhibition at a little restaurant, the exhibition, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember
again,
going there in
you
the
know,
summer times. Yeah.
yeah, and the key is to find employers experienced with working with team workers who understand school schedules and then maybe even have training programs involved.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I worked in a restaurant when I was in high school, trying to make money to go to on a
Mhm,
trip. So it was a bit more of a different perspective, I guess. Instead of being just told to go to work, I had a purpose. So, what about seasonal
mhm.
opportunities there? Because
Yeah,
your
this is
son
a
did
great
the
option too,
summer
right?
jobs, right?
Yep, yep. One of them was a counselor in training, right? Where at a camp he attended, did didn't pay a ton, but he got room and board, plus learned how to
Hmm.
manage groups of energetic kids.
Wow, that's some leadership skills right there, isn't it? And some life skills.
Hmm.
And of course, with the crazy little kitties, you're gonna be managing some chaos. So maybe he'll be a good dad one day,
Hmm.
right?
That's the idea, right?
Yep.
Again, all the experience you can get them early on, right? Both our kids actually did holiday retailing, gift wrapping,
Yep.
stocking shelves around Christmas. Good money, temporary commitment, and it works around school.
Well, yeah, absolutely, totally. So let's go to 16 and 17. We're getting things really open up here. You get your driver license and you get more options, right?
Hmm. Total game changer, right? Once Josh could make himself or drive himself to work, everything opened up. Right? He could get a job at a local amusement park running one of the game booths.
Yep. And how'd that go?
Oh, he loved it, right? Working weekends and
Nice.
summers, made decent money, got into the park free on days off. Plus, he got
Yep.
a crash course in customer service, right? People get surprisingly competitive around ring toss.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah, I can see that happening. So I can only imagine this game is rigged. I can't. I can demand to speak to the manager. That'd be a conversation they might be
Hmm.
having, right, with customers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but it taught patience, right? Conflict resolution, staying calm, all valuable
Yep.
skills.
Yeah, conflict resolution is definitely a good skill to have. So what about jobs that require certification or special skills?
Yeah, you know what? Again, when you're certified at first aid and things like that, getting a job as a lifeguard or something like that, right? Armanda had to do it too. She did her, like I said, Red Cross certification, right? But
Yep.
then you become, take swimming courses, rescue techniques, CPR training. These all help build up opportunities for higher responsible jobs.
Yep. And that's a pretty serious responsibility, especially being a lifeguard at
Mhm.
16. That's pretty crazy.
Right? You're literally responsible for people's safety, right? Once certified, you're making 12 to $13 an hour, which is way above minimum wage. Working at a community pool 2 summers, then a water park during senior year, right? So
Yep.
you're building up your resume, but also what your value is.
Yes, absolutely. Because you're around a lot of people and you have certification and you have a sense of responsibility too, right? So I bet that built
Yeah.
her confidence as well, right?
Oh, for sure, right? Making split second decisions, being in charge, staying alert, definitely matures you, right?
Yep.
She came out of those summers more confident in her abilities. Absolutely.
That's awesome. You know what the best part about having a teenager lifeguard is?
No, what's that?
You never have to worry about being in deep water when they're around.
No, that is true.
That's right. So I can help myself, but seriously, what other options are good for 16 to 17-year-olds, RJ?
Oh, look, there's tons of options out there. We just have to look for the right ones, right? Kids can work in retail, in malls, clothing stores, sporting goods, bookstores. These often come with employee discounts, which of
Yep.
course discounts everybody loves.
Yep.
Restaurants too, not just fast food, but sit down restaurants, right? Josh
Yep.
worked as a host at a family restaurant for a while.
Yep. That's where the real money is. In a restaurant, you get tips too, right? So you get extra money that you weren't expecting, which is great. And if you work at the right restaurant, you can
Hmm.
make more than your hourly wage, right? So
Yeah.
once they can serve, they get great tips. But some restaurants do tip sharing, which helps kids that say, hey, maybe I can move up, make more, right?
Yeah, I think in restaurants, not so much in fast food, but in
No,
restaurants, there's
not so
that
much. No.
tip sharing process, right?
Yep.
So you get a part of it because you help keep the flow of the restaurant going, right? But even as a host, they're learning operations, right? Handling dinner rush, managing reservations, keeping the flow going. So
Hmm.
definitely some skill building there.
Yeah, for sure. So it's all about those transferable skills, right, RJ?
Yeah, it's never just about the task self, right? It's about showing up when you don't feel like it, dealing with difficult people, solving problems, being reliable. That's the real education.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about elephant in the room here, safety, because this is where a lot of parents hesitate. Understandably, RJ, what are your non-negotiables when your kids were working?
Number one, I always knew where my kids were working, who they were working
Yep.
for, and when they'd be home. All right. Always. That way you can keep tabs on them and you're not controlling them because they're at their job, but you do
Yep.
know what's going on, when to expect them. When they don't show up, you really, again, when they don't show up, it's where are they and why are they not home, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Communication's everything, right? Because if they don't know where they are, you
yeah,
get worried a little bit as a parent.
absolutely everything. Second, I met every single employer before my kids started working, right?
Oh,
If it
nice.
was a neighbor
Hmm.
with yard work, I went over face to face. If it was babysitting, we all met together first. When they got their first jobs, I met them after the interview, right? So it's a whole process of staying involved with your kids' lives.
Oh, so your kids working at the restaurant, you went go talk to the manager. Hey, how's it going? I'm so and so's dad. I want to make sure
Yep.
everything's okay. You check, make sure it's a good restaurant type thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
So,
Absolutely. You can either go in there for the interview with them or wait in
yep.
the car in the lobby, but make sure you meet them. Make sure it's a legitimate business with proper procedures and appropriate working conditions for them, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like you walk in, you know it's a restaurant, it's gonna be a good restaurant, right? Especially if it's something in your neighborhood you can recognize. But so, what would
Hmm.
some red flags would you suggest for parents to watch out for?
Oh, yeah, big ones, right? First of all, any job requiring upfront payment. Folks,
Yep,
that's likely a
100%.
scam, right?
Yep.
Anything promising unrealistic money for minimal work. Anyone who
Hmm.
tells your kid not to tell you something, a huge red flag. And then this one is critical. I made it clear to Josh and Emma if they ever felt comfortable or unsafe, they could call me immediately. No questions, no judgment. I'd come get them. Pure and simple.
Oh, that's very good. That's good open communication there, RJ. And it's also important that kids need to know safety trumps everything else. Because sometimes the employer tells you got to do this if you want to get paid. And it's like, yeah, this is kind of dangerous. And they should know that, hey, if it's unsafe, there's our rules for employers and employees to be able to know that
Mhm.
they don't have to follow that if
And
they
we,
feel
we
unsafe.
eventually discussed Yeah, we eventually discussed the rules with them of employment and that, there are boards that you can reach out to. But I always say this, I've told my kids, I am self-employed. Now, that doesn't mean I own my job. What it means is I have the choice of whether I want to go to this work today, tomorrow, next week, because I'm working for myself, right?
Hmm.
So, same thing with them. They make the call, right? And so I always told them, I don't care if you started your shift. I don't care if you think you're overreacting. If something feels wrong, call me. And a couple times they
Yep.
did, right? Turned out to be
Oh,
nothing
wow. Nice.
serious, but I was glad they felt comfortable in calling and making that decision.
Enough. Yep. That's really good. It's better safe than sorry, right? So, what about labor
Hmm.
laws? That's something that parents
Yeah.
might not think about in the beginning because they think, hey, kids are just working.
Yeah. Like I said, we talked about that with because every kid needs to know there are restrictions how late minors can work on school nights, how many
Yep.
hours per week, what equipment they can use. When Josh
Yep.
wanted to work at construction at 15, I had to shut that down, right? Too serious, too dangerous, not legal at that age.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be a little bit older for that for sure. Even though it'll take them, make them dig up dirt and stuff, but still, it's too much. So what about
Hmm.
online work? That currently is a pretty big thing, right?
Hmm. Yeah, you know what? And it's an option, right, for people these days. Armanda got into
Yep.
online tutoring, like I said, and then she wanted to get into graphic design and things like Photoshop, start making logos
Hmm.
for small businesses. So we set up her accounts together, reviewed every client communication, and payments went through us until she was 18.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure. So the internet adds a whole new layer of concern too, right?
Mhm, absolutely. Yep. Things like never share your personal information, right?
Hmm.
Never agree to meet anyone from you meet online in person, and be
Hmm.
careful what you post. Armando wanted to
Yep.
start a YouTube channel, which she eventually did, but we had to restrict rules, right? No showing our house, no mentioning our neighbor, no identifying anything personally.
Yeah, that's pretty smart parenting there, RJ. So you give them opportunity, but you add appropriate guardrails to make sure they stay safe.
Mhm. There's always the balance we're trying to reach, right? We're trying to keep it opportunistic for them, but safe
Yep.
at the utmost.
Yeah, for sure. So beyond just earning money, what did your son and daughter do actually to learn all this? Because that's real value right there, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, so much, right? The first grocery store paycheck Josh got, he was over the moon, right? Like I said, he looked at the deductions and his face just fell, right? This is robbery.
Yeah, I think we've all done that, right? And welcome to
Hmm.
adulthood, kid, you know?
Right. But it leads to important conversations about how society works, right? Where tax
Yep.
money goes, civic responsibility. Amanda learned about budgeting when she was deciding to save for a car, right? Made this whole plan, needed $3,000, figured it out exactly how many jobs it would take, and actually stuck to it, right? So discipline.
Yeah, that is definitely pretty impressive discipline for a teenager.
We were so proud, right? We helped them both open savings account, taught basic principles, save some, spend some, maybe give some to charity, right? Josh
Yep.
started automatically putting 20% of his paycheck into savings, right? He's 25 now and still does that.
That's amazing. Those early habits stick with you for life, right? Especially money, fitness, and all
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. And then absolutely, Emma learned or Armanda learned about opportunity costs, choosing between working extra shifts or going to a concert with friends, right? Sometimes she
Hmm.
chose the concert, and that's okay too. It's all part of learning to make decisions about your time and your money.
Yep. So what about mistakes? Because your kids are definitely going to make them.
Oh, for sure, right? But Josh blew his first two paychecks entirely on video games. Then his phone broke and he had nothing saved, right? Hard lesson, but better at 15 than here at 25.
Absolutely. What about your daughter?
Yeah, Amanda overcome to too many babysitting jobs, right? Had to
Ooh.
cancel with a family at the last minute. She felt terrible, learned a hard lesson about managing her schedule and not overextending.
Yeah, those lessons do stick because they feel real consequences, right?
Hmm. Exactly. Well, I always point isn't just the money; it's the skills, responsibility, work ethic, confidence. Money comes and goes, but you learn from earning if it stays with you.
Yeah, that's good wisdom there, RJ. You know what you call a teenager who earns and manages money well?
What's that, Curtis?
A future success story because they're really earning their future.
Hmm. Absolutely. Good one. But that one was actually kind of wholesome. I'll allow that one.
Okay. I'm trying to sneak in some heartwarming one every now and then just to make this a little more interesting and fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, RJ. Let's bring this home with some parent practical advice. What would you tell parents whose kids are asking about their first jobs?
Start where your kid is. Don't push your 12-year-old into something they're not ready for just because the neighbor kid is doing it, right? If your kid wants to walk dogs, help them do it safely. If your 16-year-old wants retail, help them build a resume and practice interviews, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Meet them where they are, not where you think they should be. Because sometimes parents, our expectation can be kind of high for our kids, right? We try to push
hmm
them.
And then here's something I learned the hard way. Don't solve all their problems for them, right? Josh, first week mowing lawns, he completely forgot about a client, just spaced it. I wanted to call and apologize myself, but my wife stopped me. She made Josh go over there, own his mistake, and make it right.
Yeah, that's hard as a parent, but you know what? The kids need to learn that responsibility, right? Take ownership.
Absolutely. So hard, right? You want to protect them from feeling bad or facing consequences. But that is the lesson that they have to learn, right? He never missed an appointment again.
Yep, that's right. Let them own their mistakes and their success.
Yeah. Armanda got promoted to shift supervisor. We celebrated big time. When Josh
Nice.
got a customer review praising his work ethic, we put it on the fridge. Make them feel their work matters because truly it does.
Yep. So what about kids who don't seem interested in working? What would you say about that?
Look, don't force it, but do have conversations about money, responsibility, saving for things they want. I remember, look, when we were kids, it was, look, you want to do this, go earn it,
Yep.
right? But
Yep.
opportunities were everywhere. Now you have to be a little more careful with kids, right? Sometimes we kids just need to see their friends earning money, even, and they'll get motivated. Other times they're
Yep.
focused on school or sports or other important things. These are important for a kid too.
That's right. There's no one size that fits all in their timeline, right?
Exactly. My nephew didn't get his first job until he was 17, and he's
Hmm.
doing great now, right? Armanda started at 12. Different kids, different paths.
Yep. So let's. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up for today?
Yeah, just this. These first jobs are practice for life, right? The stakes are low at this point. The lessons are valuable, though, and your kids are more capable than you think. Give them opportunities, keep them safe, of course, but trust the
Yep.
process.
Perfect. That's that's what the whole parenting thing is about, isn't it? Trusting the process, supporting our kids, and being there when they need us. So let's wrap this up. So
Mhm.
in today's episode on the Parent Sports Podcast, thank you for being here and sharing your journey with us, RJ.
Yeah, and thanks for letting me take the lead on this one, Curtis. Always a pleasure, even with the dad jokes.
Awesome. I'm glad you liked. Hey, that's what I'm here for. If this guide has helped you today, we'd love you to stay connected. Join our parent support community at parentsupportcircle.com for trusted advice, encouragement, and real life tips from parents who are walking this journey together. And also tag us in social media with your teens' first jobs. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe on the channel, and of course, ring that bell so you never miss tips or when we go live. If you're on Facebook, drop a comment and join the conversation. Your experience will help other parents as well. Today, we're raising confident, capable kids. Be part of the circle.
hmm And join our online community at parentsupportcircle.com, where we continue these conversations every day. We have resources and a whole community of parents supporting each other.
Until next time, guys, remember the best investment you can make in your kids' future is helping them take the first step towards independence. I'm Curtis,
And I'm RJ.
and remember, parenting is hard, but you're not doing it alone. We're all in this together. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye.